Oh,
he
there
had a
you go.
frost and it wiped out his life.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
this was
Lost
Bobby's
his cricket farm.
They were all in the bank farm.
It's up at 7 o'clock.
Here we
Anyway,
go.
We're
with me.
almost-
What was it
we're
in Dumb
almost
and
there.
Dumber? He's like, got worms?
Yeah, the worm.
Yeah,
farm.
worms.
I got worms.
I'm a worm farmer.
All right, Leo, let me know when I am.
We are live.
Uh-oh. Now it's trouble. Everybody gets quiet.
So, how are you celebrating National Inventors Day? Did they really just make a tractor beam? And are they sending satellites up into space now that are made out of wood? Well, these and other interesting curiosities we're going to be exploring tonight on the February 2025 edition of Inventor Friday. I'm Don Skaggs, your host, chief cook and bottle washer around here. And with me tonight is Eric Hartman. Eric, tell us who you are and what you're all about and what you do.
All right, thanks, Don. So I am, former entrepreneur. I didn't say that
Hey, that's
earlier,
right.
but yeah,
Yeah.
former entrepreneur. And now work at the University of Kentucky in the UK Innovate office. And so there I work with startups and entrepreneurs and technologies coming out of the university, as well as things out in the community. So work with trying to help entrepreneurs get funded, help them, get their businesses and their ideas out in the market.
And so tonight, of course, we have the venerable Leo York.
Hey.
Leo's the second in command chief and cook and bottle washer.
Yep.
And Leo, just say hi and tell
Hey.
everybody who you are as a refresher.
Hey everybody, I'm
All the
Leo,
folks.
copywriter, podcaster, and at the helm or whatever of the live stream. So
Yep.
yeah, nice to see everyone.
All right. Also with us tonight, the man, the myth, the legend. No, he's not feeding cannabis to cattle, but his company kind of
right.
suggests that. Kevin Poole.
I am not feeding cannabis sativa to cattle, but I am the CEO of Hemp Cattle Company. I use a plant-based protein called Sun Hemp. I believe it to be the new alfalfa. I'm able to put taste tenderness and marbling into beef via plant-based diet. I use a myriad of inventions and things to make this so. I'm hoping to put meat into vending machines very soon. I believe that sharing is the meaning of life, and so I spend the rest of my time talking to people and spreading education in the agriculture community. I break a lot of rules to do so, but I think it's worth it. I'm a local farmer in Clark County, just on the Lexington-Fayette County, Clark County border. I manage a family farm. I have a hay business called Wildcat Hay. Got a lot of irons in the fire, but I'm looking to spread the word and get my beef out into the people, and hopefully very soon.
Kevin, I noticed the H in Hemp Cattle
I wore it
Company.
out.
It's wore out. So now it says the EMP
That's right.
Cattle Company.
That's
So
right.
are you EMPing the cattle? Is what I want to know.
No, I'm it's still hemp, but this is what happens when you're a farmer. I got blood on my pants and calf shit on. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Is that? It's
Yeah.
okay.
No, we're on YouTube. Yeah.
YouTube. All right, we're all right. On my pants, so don't look at underneath the table. But sometimes you just throw a shirt on when you're running late off the farm, and you get here. So this one's been washed a couple of times. I have some that have rips in them too, but this one made the
all part of life on the farm.
It is. I tagged 6 babies this morning, and I delivered 3 loads of hay, and I fed some cattle, and I got home and was getting ready to eat something, and I was like, oh crap, I have a podcast to do. And but it's always fun to turn on the Kevin show. My wife, this is the only place that I'm allowed to do it without getting in trouble.
That I can see.
My wife, this poor lady, one time on an airplane asked me some questions right when I just invented Farm Huggy, and boy, my wife was like, you should have seen it. She kept asking me the right questions. She's like, oh, An hour later, you know, we're getting off the flight. That's like, that lady's like, well, that's really interesting. My wife's just going,
Oh, God. Well, last but not least, we have Katie
Startsman.
Startsman. Okay, I was afraid I was going to mispronounce it.
No, you're great. I'm Katie. I live in Berea, and I forgot to mention earlier, like many great businesses, I started my restaurant in my garage. I
Yay.
grew up in the Northeast, and when I moved to Kentucky in the 90s, there was no place to get good bagels. So now I own a bagel shop in Berea. We also do smash burgers and cocktails in the evening. And yeah, it's a really interesting business. I think there's always something to fix. There's always a new problem to solve. And so I'm really grateful to be able to have that. I also have another responsibility, and I just started working as the Small Business Development Center business coach for Madison County, but also surrounding areas. And the SBDC is funded through the Small Business Administration. So the business coaching that we do is provided at no cost, and I help people write business plans. I'll apply for funding. And it's really fun for me to help people because I started my business on a shoestring, which is awesome, but sometimes that can be false economy. And so it's sometimes also nice to know when to scale or when to make an investment. So, yeah.
I'm because in the pre-show we were talking about now that we've got you all both in the same room,
Mhm.
how soon are we going to have the hemp cattle bagel burger?
Yes, let's do it. Sounds great. How do
Why
I get
not?
a vending machine
Yeah.
at my restaurant?
why
There we
not?
go.
I was
Yeah.
gonna use a girl that took the prom that makes homemade buns in Clark County, but I don't know. Now switch it up.
Yeah, we
Switch
did.
it up.
We only do bagel burgers on special occasions. So
that
I have
right?
to do one. Yeah.
Toasted bagel
I love
burger.
it.
All right.
I can see that right now.
Listen, if it'll hold up, let's do it. Stack them 4 high on a bagel because that's a lot of bun.
I would get one tomorrow.
Well, be honest with you, it's not like it hasn't been done. It's not that radical, be honest with you, because a pretzel bun is similar to a bagel anyway, and those are blown up.
Mhm.
Why not? I guess
Mhm.
bagels are a little more dense.
Yeah, they are. Yes, I would actually argue that the best vehicle for a burger is not a bagel. I think you should use a Martin's potato roll. I thought for sure that I should make my buns in-house for my burgers, and I agonized over it, but there's something about that industrial process that makes a perfectly squishy hamburger bun. I had to admit defeat, and so that's what we use in our smash burgers, which is kind
Awesome.
of funny to be a bakery that
Listen,
buys our buns.
I'll bring a couple of pounds of beef over
Yeah.
to the place, and I got 3 different forms. I got a 93.7, I got an 80/20, and I got an ancestral grind.
What is that?
The ancestral grind is basically my 80/20.
Mm-hmm.
So when you harvest an animal and you're going to get probably close to 400 pounds of burger out of him, you take the heart, liver, and tongue, and you grind it into that 400 pounds of burger. And it gives it, it's not enough that's going to turn off anybody that hates liver.
Yeah.
For you too.
You get all the minerals and the vitamins from those
Neat.
organs, and you can convert people over to a modified burger.
Yeah.
Now, if I had to say, when it comes across my 80/20 burger has kind of like a more umptious, like almost like beef times 2 feel to it. But when you do the ancestral grind, it finishes with a bit of sage. The liver on a minor level adds it comes across on the very end. The palate is kind of like a sausage sage. It's weird. I love it. And once you go, like I said, I'm kind of like the crack dealer of beef. And hey, once you kind of try mine, I'm ruined myself. I never order burgers in a restaurant now. I never I'm ruined myself. Here's hoping it continues with the next evolution of my product.
That's neat. I can see that doing really well actually in a restaurant setting. That's grind. That's really cool.
Well, I would, like I said, before I came up with the idea of the vending machines, I wanted to have a hemp burger in every restaurant. The problem with that is that the burger is the number one profit margin on every menu. And they're buying burger at $2.50 a pound, and and they put some Worcestershire sauce and some salt and pepper and some seasoning on it, and the customer doesn't know what it is, and then they don't want to pass that high price on to the customer, and the burger's already $13. Well, customers don't blink at $13 for a restaurant burger with lettuce, tomato, onion, but the burger quality is just not the same. So here I come with my $8 retail and $5, $6 wholesale hemp fed burger. Well, now they have to buy that. That's doubled their price and it's cut their margins down. They'd have to charge a $22 burger to make up the difference.
Well, okay, I'll argue with you there.
Weta might do something like that.
So I feel like
nobody else is going to do
that's my
that.
job as a restaurant owner who has values about food sourcing.
I
It's
got
my job to figure out how to make it so that I can make money and buy the products that I
correct.
feel good about. But I think you're right. I do think it's an extra step, and not everybody is willing to take that step.
That's correct. So it's
But it could
limited.
also be a marketing thing.
It
like-
could, and
yeah.
and it could, and if I wasn't fighting the fact that people don't really understand the educational part about the protein that I am using, so I got this wall, and that's why I keep coming back to the vending machines. It's my Trojan horse to break through. I don't have to answer to anybody. I originally, when I first started Hemp Cattle Company, I came to Weta and I was like, Weta, would you put this? And she took some samples and she did it. And it was very lean product. This before I had started, I had mastered the art. My beef was still being graded out select, which is very lean, almost barely above grass fed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was still basically grass fed. And as I've gotten better at honing my skills with the hemp and finding the way to get a marbling into the beef, I'm now at high choice. I mean, I was really angry that I wasn't getting prime on my last one. It's like they were just being intentionally holding back, that I'm not going to get that prime stamp, or next thing you know, I might end up in Malone's or something. But they were just kind of like, they were hesitant, even though it was clearly borderline high choice. But I do shoot for just choice.
Now I know why I sent you two guys together.
You did. Got a real problem here, don't you?
Nothing I can't handle. All right. Well, let me before we get to take it away tonight, let me mention our sponsor. Yes, we have a sponsor, and I need to pull this up so everyone can see it on just a second. Our sponsor tonight is the reason where we are online, and because we have a really nice 1 gig internet. The reason why we have that is thanks to Kinetic Business. Kinetic Business has a lot of different services in a lot of different places, but you'll definitely want to check them out. We wanted to give them a mention tonight because they have helped us with a little, shown us a little love. We hope there's more to come. So anyway, that's kineticbusiness.com. So also you want to check out our website, kyinventors.org. We got a lot going on. We're still talking about the state fair, although that was 4 months ago. Kevin was at the state fair.
Right.
We'll have to talk about that here in a minute. So we had folks selling products at the state fair, which was just the coolest thing ever. So you go there, go to our website, kyinventors.org. If you want to become a member, that'll get you into the workshops that are special things that we're doing every month, where it's members only. We all work under a closed non-disclosure agreement, and what you get to talk about your idea and get input from the group. If you want to see a replay of a previous meeting, you can do that now on our website. It's free for members. There's a little paywall if you're not, but you just make your choice. And oh, look, here's upcoming meetings. Oh, there's the workshop next week. So anyway, just check us out when we've got over 300 videos on YouTube as well, and Empowered Inventing TV. So check all that out at kyinventors.org. Also, if you live in a rural area of Kentucky, please reach out to us. We are doing a special program with the USDA right now. And if you are in a rural area, we want to hear from you. Just reach out to us at info@kyinventors.org as well. All right, I'm going to talk about some inventions in history. And the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is February 11th, 1983. Ronald Reagan was president at the time, If you're that old, kids, if you don't know, that was a president of the United States at one time.
And an actor.
And an actor, yes, yes. And I'm not sharing my screen yet, am I? Here, hang on, guys. Here we go. All right, February 11th is National Inventors Day. No one knows who invented the wheel, but we February 11th is designated as National Inventors Day. Honors those curious people like us, those people hanging out on Friday night for Inventor Friday. So this is kind of our day. It was also, and the reason they established it as that is it is also Thomas Edison's birthday.
Oh,
So that's kind of what coincides with that, or kind of what got that started. So I want to just ask everybody, how are you celebrating National Inventors Day? And is there like a card?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. Hey, the workshop will be
Oh
National
yeah,
Inventors Day.
that's true.
no.
All right, there's another reason to join, another reason to.
I'll eat a taco.
Yeah. Oh, so has anybody ever wished you a happy Inventors Day, or have you ever heard of that? Is
No,
that
but
a
I'm expecting a
card?
text now.
I
I wonder if, celebrate me.
Hmm.
You know, I think you actually have to have some success before you actually get a card, though. Maybe.
you think that's, I don't know.
Maybe. I don't
Maybe
know.
encouragement
I
for
don't
somebody
know.
who was struggling.
I don't
There's a lot
know.
more struggling inventors than there are
That's right.
successful ones.
Well, back to this little thing you got going here, Don. Without the support of you guys, maybe you got to have the people that are actually doing the legwork for people. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
Huh? And a
Absolutely.
fellow inventor, but also a person that actually gives a community of support
So
to
you're
people.
sending us a card. Or
Yeah, I might. I might. How about I just send you an emoji? Ask my wife, if I send you a card, I might get divorced because my wife, let's be honest, the whole Hallmark thing, buying other people's works is really hard for most inventors, I'd say probably.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to say I did a search and I could not find a Hallmark card, and I figured, okay, they've got a Hallmark card for everything.
Yeah.
Now maybe I didn't do a deep enough.
No
search or
section
not,
for
but
Inventors Day.
why not? I mean, they've got
You know
everything
what?
else, so.
My wife's not getting a Valentine's card until I get an Inventor's card on February. Well,
Okay,
this is gonna go over like a lead balloon. Thanks, Don, for getting me in trouble again.
Live on the internet.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah. How about you, Eric? You ever heard of a National Inventors Day
I had
card,
not
or-
heard of it, no.
Yeah.
But, back in the day, they used to have these things you could go into the drugstores and print out your own card too.
Yeah.
Ah,
And, they had like the little plotter
That's
things
right.
and you could pick it, it seems like that would be a good thing.
Are you talking about like an Apple II computer on that little thing that used to do the dot matrix printing out there with the thing you had to rip off? I remember when I was a kid, making a banner was like the greatest thing you ever could do.
Yeah. No, but it seems like it'd be a great idea. You could just make out your own card, and make, load in the Inventors Day card, and
If I had thought about this, we could have made up Inventor Day cards and sold them on our website.
Yeah.
you know what? You only got 12 months until next year.
That's right. That's right. I'd say we start now.
That is pretty funny that inventors have not invented a card for Inventors
Yeah.
Day. That's pretty funny.
Good point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It would definitely be a pop-up. It'd be a pop-up card for sure, or have some sort of noisemaker in there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's convolute this just a little bit more.
Yeah,
It's not gonna be.
complicated.
It's not gonna be words. I tell you that.
No.
Definitely
Yeah,
a scratch and sniff from your farm.
That's right. That would not be good.
No. What do you think, Leo?
I'd heard of the day, but the idea of cards, I like it. At the very least, you'd think there would be more like business innovation oriented, like reasons to celebrate stuff. Yeah.
interesting.
Come on,
Yeah.
man. We invent things to celebrate.
That's true.
That might be the problem.
Yeah.
How about you, Katie? What do you think? You've been into cards. Do you do cards? Do you think that could be a thing?
I don't know. It's interesting. I'm looking ahead because February 2nd is my son's birthday, and he is the entrepreneurial and invention gene in my lineage has definitely come to him.
Oh.
And it just makes me think of kids who are 19 and 23. Are they, it's really different. They're not sending cards anymore.
That's
You know,
fair.
it's
Well-
really, how could we use that idea in a way that would be,
We need an Inventors
appropriate.
Day gift. That we
Huh,
can
an
send out, yeah.
electronic card.
I don't know, or something like.
When you click on it, it comes on your screen and instead of you don't get skip balloons
It's
or like a
boring.
hey.
Isn't that
It actually
text?
comes on, opens it up.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
somebody pick this up and run with it. I'm too busy.
What do you think, George? George, I didn't even introduce you tonight. How'd I miss you? You're just quiet over there
Yeah.
doing this is George Mulder. George
Hi.
is our,
Cameraman.
yeah, you're the guy keeping us all straight around here. So yeah, absolutely. George, you got any thoughts on that? You think we need to have an Inventors Day card?
I haven't,
Yeah.
You've been concentrating.
I've been concentrating on the
Okay.
camera, yeah.
All right.
Next.
I'll give you a pass on that then. All right. Okay, well, let's move on to the next one here. This next one is also kind of involved Thomas Edison, February 19th, 1878. And that is that a patent is granted for
Record player.
phonograph. And I'm on the wrong one. Hang on, guys. Here we go. So, February 19th, 1878, Thomas Edison receives a patent for the phonograph. And I don't think it looked kind of like that.
That's
That's
what it looked
1890. That was a few years later. I think that was a.
No, they're not going to put the Mark I on the picture for crying out loud.
Well, they ought
Come
to.
on, give me.
Well, here's the let's
Ah,
see if we can blow it up.
Ah,
black cylinder.
that's right.
Black cylinder. So, and this is the kind of the fun thing here. Number one, it's invention number 200,521. We're like way up in the millions now. There's page one, there's page two, and there's page, well, I don't know, I guess I'd call it page three, and that's it.
Huh.
That's the whole
Wow.
patent.
Yeah.
And it's for the phonograph of all
You
things.
want to patent a sticker now? It's so
The
weird.
drawings have looked like they've regressed.
That's,
So
yeah.
the
Well, you probably did that with a flipping quill or
Pat-
something.
Yeah.
patent drawings are just odd drawings now. Like,
Yeah,
but those are like that actually look pretty good.
yeah.
Some things really haven't changed all that much. I mean, you've got the numbers and the lines and all that,
That's right.
but yeah. But yeah, that's
What are those? What was the? Look on the bottom. Was that favorites? What was that? Mistresses? What the?
I don't know.
See that down there at the bottom on
Here,
there?
let me get back to it.
Did you already close it? Don't worry about it if it's gonna jam up the show.
I can get to it. Let's see.
But it had a bunch of people signing there next to it, and I
I
couldn't.
think one was the attorney. Here's
Who's
the
that?
attorney,
What is that?
Thomas Edison.
Inventor, and then what's that other thing above those other names?
Witness.
Witnesses.
There we go.
Mistresses.
Mistresses.
Does look like an M. It does look like an M.
I'm put that on a
Come on now. Kevin, get your mind out of the gutter.
Oh, that is wild.
Mistresses.
Is that a picture of his lab notebook? Witness, signed and witnessed.
Yeah.
You know, it
Who's
could
the
be-
who's the other inventor, by the way, underneath there? His poor guy never got his name out there. What's the?
He's the attorney.
No, that's the attorney.
Okay.
ATTY, Leonard Farrell. I don't know. It's hard to read in person.
Okay.
Weird.
But yeah, well, it kind of brings up an interesting thing. I went to the Smithsonian, and one of the displays was all these, inventions. And they said these were from the patent office, probably late 1800s, probably 1700s, late 1700s, early 1800s. But in order to send in for a patent, you had to send a small model
Wow.
of your invention.
Oh,
So they had all of these
Oh,
like
that's
really
cool.
Oh, yeah.
modeled. And most of them were like miniatures,
Oh, yeah.
but they were like the ones that they sent in.
I still have my old
That's
models
very
of
cool.
Farm Huggies still in the cattle fridge.
Huh.
I would.
The first, I'm hanging on to them.
I'd hang
Well,
on.
yeah.
My ego out of control in the fridge there. Like
Those
one
go-
day those will be in the Smithsonian. Right.
So,
Never
here's a
know.
question.
Never
Are-
know.
Are all inventors hoarders?
No,
Almost.
no,
There you
no.
Well, most of us.
Yeah.
My wife would say we are.
I'm gonna tell you, if it was more than a can koozie, I would probably already gotten rid of it. But
Yeah.
that's all it is. So it sits back in there, and there one day maybe I'll be like, well, that was the original Farm Huggy.
Yeah.
So my twin sister, I have a twin sister.
Me
and-
too.
Oh, love that. She and her husband built their home and they have a lot of salvage materials. And she decided instead of calling them junk piles around their homestead, they're called resource
There
piles.
you go.
Oh,
So I
love it.
think that I have a lot of resource piles in my studio right now. And so, yeah, that's what they
I
are.
am so using.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Retransport it.
I don't have
That's
junk
going
piles.
home with me tonight.
Yeah, I am using that. I don't know how well it
Resource.
goes over with my wife, but we're gonna try it. So, well, question. So do you think that we would be as preoccupied with recorded sound? We're pretty preoccupied with recorded sound without Edison like setting the stage for all of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
I think it would have happened.
Yeah.
Some things are just undeniable, that we were going to
You-
record
you
sound. no
think
matter
it wasn't
what.
him,
He
it's gonna
just-
be somebody else, or
Yeah, I do.
and I have a
Now
theory.
the real question is, would be records? Would those be a thing?
Yeah.
Would have been what was the next? What was it? I guess after records came cassette tapes.
Eight-tracks,
That's
yeah.
8 tracks. That's right. So ribbon
Eight-tracks,
ribbon
cassettes.
recording, and
Now it's all
then
digital.
would it have
Real
gone?
to real first.
Would it have gone to right to that, or would it been?
Yeah.
I
What would have been
still-
the format that it would have gone to next?
Yeah. I mean, phonographs are one of those things that does genuinely make me feel dumb when I think about it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how?
Yeah.
It's almost alien.
Yeah.
Like here's a wax cylinder
Yeah.
that we've recorded a voice, and if you put a needle in the right spot, it
It
reads
replays
it,
that voice.
yeah.
It's insane.
Mhm.
Well, I guess that's why he was the man.
Yeah.
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 And he figured it out before anybody could.
Yeah.
And what are we talking about? Wavelengths?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And when the wavelengths got, wax, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense that, a permeable medium for recording
Yeah.
Mhm.
ends up being pretty credible.
Hmm.
Think about it. I wonder how much time in bed he was just sitting there going,
Yeah. Yeah. How can I
You-
turn
you say how
wax
short-
into music?
How short his patent was.
Yeah.
There was probably no electricity in that.
Oh, yeah.
there is no electricity.
Crank it,
You
yeah.
just-
Oh, yeah.
Cranking it.
Oh, yeah.
Or it was a spring,
So
probably went
weird.
through.
Oh, you remember
Yeah.
remember the last podcast, the guy that electric, he's still banging away at the whole.
Still at it.
Yeah, but that's I'm jealous of him because of how much time he probably spent. The KISS principle. Keep it
Mhm.
simple, stupid. How much time did he? Maybe the first ones, the iterations of his were not as simple or a hand crank, but
Hmm.
when you come down to it, I mean, he kept it. He streamlined it
Yeah.
down to the very
He's good. He knows what he's doing with
and
that. Yeah. Big time.
and the medium and stuff, and sometimes inventors have a tendency to go too exotic, and then you come back and
Feature
then
creep.
and yep, and you have to and you run it by somebody, and they say that's terrible. Do it again,
Mhm.
and then you do it again, and you do it again. I wonder how many
That's-
iterations he came before he came into that, and I'm sure there's
Well,
probably
he
a
did with
story
the
of that.
The light bulb is
Oh,
the
yeah.
classic.
That's right.
Yeah,
He said I
I've-
figured out a million ways not to how to
10,000 ways it will not work.
Yeah.
I've not failed.
Yeah.
I've discovered these 10,000.
Well, to me, what's interesting is, you think about that first iteration that we saw there, it's made on this wax drum. The
Hmm.
utility of that's pretty minor,
Huh.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Simple.
Because
Yeah.
you can't, I can't record my voice and give it to you.
Right.
I have to record my voice and play it back. And
Right.
this
Uh-huh.
wax drum, how long is that really gonna last?
Yeah.
So what's the point? But you think about the iterative process that eventually got to
Right.
what we saw, maybe 20 years later,
Right.
where it was more resembling what we have today, and the portable vinyl records and things like
Yeah.
that. So
It's not just that. How
That's
much,
interesting.
I wondered on his journey of making it, because that's what I think about is, when I talk about, let's just, for instance, I was just talking to somebody today about my vending machines that came out, was talking to me, whatever. And I was like, I think there's things that are going to happen down the road, and I don't know how it's going to fall out, but these are what I think. I wonder, I don't know. I guess I could read more about, Thomas Alva Edison and find out somebody had to probably, get his journey before he was such a famous inventor. Somebody
Well, he
picked his
was
brains
the-
about what it was like for the journey. How, did he see iPods coming down the road?
He was the showman. He was
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
of a
Tesla
showman
brought
than
us
he
all the
was.
iPods.
But no, but
Yeah.
but you understand, like,
Yeah.
when you're on that journey, you don't even know all the ends to it.
Do you know
You
who
guess.
produced the very first movie?
No.
Thomas Edison.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The picture. Yeah, yeah.
Kinetoscope
The
or something
Great
like that.
Train Robbery,
That's right.
which
That's right.
always makes me wonder that, okay, it was a crime being made. And, I can see where Edison was coming after this. Okay, everybody wants to stop and see a train robbery, or, who wants, but think about media, everything, how many crime shows are out there?
Huh.
It was
I
The
just wonder-
Sopranos for like the late 19th century.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if that's
Weird.
set a tone, or is that
Huh.
why there's so many cops and robber
Maybe.
things in entertainment now? Did he set some kind of precedent?
I mean, don't they say that there's only like a limited amount of plot points that you can make
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
thing? So,
Yeah, there's only like, I think it's 100 stories. in
that's
the world.
right. It just gets told a different way.
They just,
And then we find out that
We-
music is really all the same beats, what I'm
Yeah.
saying, the same four chords.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, we're real simple minds. But, guys like him, said, who knows back then, who knows, he might have been, you know, scratching things on different, where the wax come from, meaning like wire, it was a permeable, and impressionable, obviously, substance that would hold shape,
Yeah.
yet could be imprinted easily.
Yeah.
And what was he doing it before? What was he?
Yeah.
You almost
What
wonder,
was he?
were they
What were
working
the
on-
first iterations of? I
Yeah.
guarantee that was not the first one.
Or you wonder if he was working on something else, and it's like, oh, wait a
Yeah.
minute, sound's coming out of
Yeah.
this.
Fell sideways into it.
Yeah, yeah.
What?
I've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what are those mechanical pianos before?
Before,
Player
yeah.
pianos.
They were before
player
the
pianos,
Oh,
yeah.
the player pianos were
Oh, really?
before.
Oh, yeah.
So he,
Those were, it's weird to think about. Those were like punch card computers.
correct,
back
almost
in-
braille. Like,
yeah.
am I right?
That's
Yeah.
true. They were like punch card.
Yeah.
computers.
Yeah.
It's weird to think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe the
That's
Simpsons
wild.
will give us the answer because.
So I'm an anti-Edison guy.
Ah.
Oh wow.
And
He's pro Tesla.
I'm
and-
not a
Oh,
total
uh-huh.
Tesla guy, but
Uh-huh.
Edison was a crook. And he had all
All
engineers working
Oh,
for
yeah.
him, took their ideas,
Huh.
didn't give them any credit. I could say a lot of negative things about him, but he wasn't sitting there doing everything by himself.
Yeah, he probably gets
As you might imagine.
probably
his
gets way more credit
iterations
for whatever he was doing.
That's who killed that elephant. Yeah.
Mhm.
Flopped
was
it.
electrocuting elephants, yeah.
Right.
Tesla, the current wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still say that though, that even though, he gets probably more credit, maybe he gets more credit than he's supposed to get, but there's still a means to an end, and that has purpose. That has
Yeah.
purpose. So, was he a middle guy? I mean, Edison was
There's a
what?
lot of
Was
things.
Edison with Westinghouse?
No,
Yes.
that was Tesla.
That was
Oh, that's
Tesla.
Tesla.
Tesla
Oh,
was
interesting.
what-
So Tesla was Westinghouse, and then was JP Morgan with
I
Tesla.
think.
no, I think Tesla was Edison.
Morgan was
Yeah.
with both Edison and Tesla, but he had his money in Edison's DC, and he gave Tesla
So who was
money
who
for
was
the
who was with
AC,
Edison?
and then pulled his money
Huh.
at the end.
Westinghouse was with both of them. Is that what you're saying?
Morgan, JP
Morgan was with
Morgan
both.
was,
Yep.
had his money invested.
Both of them.
He was hedging his
But-
bets.
But he was with Edison first, as I believe, correct? Because
Yeah.
Tesla was
Yeah.
was obviously
Company,
working
yeah.
underneath
Yeah.
them. Yeah,
Edison's electric could only go 2 blocks.
yeah, we understand this. I'm just talking about you got to, you just can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. He was a means to the end. He may get me more credit as time has developed, but that's how people are. If people were perfect, you know,
Well, that's kind of the thing I see in a lot of these, because when we do like Inventor Entrepreneur Night at the movies, we'll like showcase all of these different case stories of, and the one that first one comes to mind for me in this vein is the founder, Ray Kroc's story.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
you got to give him credit.
You got to give him credit if Ray Kroc had not done what he did.
That's right.
The two guys in the little McDonald's in
That's right. They
San
would,
Bernardino, California.
we would never have McDonald's.
Yeah, no one would never even know what that
I
place
mean,
was.
I've watched the movie. I mean, you got to give him credit. It's in that bathroom scene when he's talking, like, even you don't understand it's the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Croc, Croc, Slavic. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it sounds like a load of crock. You know, but whatever. It's the name. It was perfect. Now, obviously, I do think that his contribution was the fact that, and it might have not even been his idea, was the fact that the property was more valuable than
realtor,
that,
yeah.
and whatever, and he
was
there
a
gave him
realtor who has to
control,
make burgers, yeah.
and it gave him, so even that, you know, but putting these things, falling down the rabbit hole and getting, I mean, come on, Hemp Cattle Company didn't happen because I was like, "Well, I know everything about Sun Hemp." It happened because I called a guy down in Alabama, petyourseeds.com. You can get on the website and read about what he was doing, and he's screaming it from the rooftops of how this plant-based, that hemp is an incredible protein source that cattle like. But nobody's listening to him down there. I did not, and by the way, I walked backwards in the Hemp Cattle Company because of what Gincana and Altalo did to all the Clark County farmers by filing bankruptcy. I fell down that rabbit hole because farmers got screwed out of the crops, and there was hemp, cannabis sativa left in barns. There still is in Clark County.
We got a selfie from that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe I can buy that. I was just like, I'm like the Ray Kroc, like, maybe I can buy their misfortune and I'll feed it to cattle. Well, they can't sell it to me because it's a government controlled substance. Oh crap. Well, maybe I will grow my own hemp and mix it into sorghum Sudan as a grass fed product and play with it. Nope, can't do it. Can't get the seed. Well, then I started researching what kind of hemp seed can I get. And the next thing you know, I'm growing a plant-based protein that puts weight on the animals.
That's the bone
that's right.
question, yeah.
Piles and piles of hemp just stuck in this barn. And so I didn't invent Sun Hemp. I didn't invent cattle. I didn't invent vending machines. I didn't invent any of this stuff. I just believe in the change that what could do. And I'm going to see it through. So Ray Kroc, you got to give him his credit.
Yeah,
you know?
So
Yeah.
well, let's move from Ray Kroc to Howard Johnson.
Oh, I got a story to tell about Howard Johnson.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. The first giant restaurant chain, Howard Johnson. I want to say he was born on February 2nd. That's why we're talking about Howard Johnson. I don't think we need to know about where he went to elementary school, but
Yeah, that sounds boring. Let me talk about my story. So my father was in the Navy. So he would pick us up and go with my sister and I, and where he was in the Navy, you know what I'm saying, when he picked up his kids, it was like game on. We're going to have fun. You know what I'm saying? I've been on a ship and I'm ready to spend this money that I'm not allowed to spend anywhere else because I've been on a ship or a submarine.
Family friendly shore.
And it was like holiday when with my father, my parents were divorced. So he'd pick us up and it was like, we ended up staying in motels most of the time because that's how it was in the 80s, you know what I'm saying? And if it had a pool, woo, we were killing it. Well, we stopped we were on a trip to go find he was going to take a job teaching at the a Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. And there's a Hojo hotel. I don't know how he went from being a family restaurant into hotels, but that was the Howard Johnson that I knew. I didn't, and it always had it was like a Denny's attached to a hotel is what it was.
Yeah.
Yep, I remember.
And we have looked for it since, and we haven't been able to find it. But we stayed in a Howard Johnson's that somewhere outside of Annapolis that had a pool inside of an, I don't know what you call it,
Oh, like those glass.
glassed in,
I know
yes.
what you're talking about, yeah.
And my sister and I thought we had hit the lottery. They had video games, Pac-Man and Galaga. They had, and here's the thing that we remember the most. They had a stone slide that had a
Mm.
waterfall, like a miniature Hugh Hefner, what do you call it?
Oh,
Grotto.
it's just-
Grotto, and it had a stone slide, and it was curved and went down and dumped you. Thing. I think we spent the next 10 years trying to find that Hojo. Every time we were up in Annapolis and we stopped, we never
Yeah.
could find that thing.
Yeah, Wyndham
it-
put them out.
It is burned into my childhood brain about that Hojo. I mean, talk about
I
positive.
remember they had ice cream cones and they put a little cookie in the top. It's kind of like their
There you go.
Mm.
Well, it was like that stone slide.
And
Those- that
the
place.
orange roofs, you
Yep.
could see them from
That's right.
far away.
Orange, and they had that funny blue that was tied in underneath it. It was kind of like Denny's meets Holiday Inn meets, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a little, it was something else. The restaurants were good, but that's funny to hear that he started, what was the,
So
was a restaurateur, huh?
yeah, actually, he started out 1950s and 60s. And by the way, kids, Howard Johnson's was a restaurant chain and a hotel chain for those of you who are not Gen Xers. Anyway, it became known as the largest American restaurant chain, the first giant in the industry. Company's familiar. Orange roofs and steeples covered much of the U.S. highway systems. Yet by the 1980s, the party was over for this once great company. Anyway, that just kind of begs the question of what do you think made them
Disappear, start.
that place that you just remember so much from your childhood and now just kind of a bygone thing?
Probably the same thing that happened to all those restaurants get flooded. I mean, TGI Fridays, Bennigan's. I mean, you can keep going on. Chi-Chi's, all these things that places that just, it had its come ups, and it looks like Applebee's is the last man standing.
Mhm.
And you don't see them anymore. It floods the market. It becomes not special anymore.
That I think is it.
And Howard Johnson's, like I said, it was a fancy Denny's attached to a motel, and it had its
You
time.
think it was a culture thing, maybe?
I think that's also.
Yeah.
What do you think, Leo?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Like, there's ebbs and flows of different like mindsets. And I actually see it kind of coming back now, like just because of the irony component.
Yeah.
Especially it sounds like the ice cream sundae with the cookie, and it's like the precursor to like the millennial milkshake that everybody sees. It's impossible to drink. It's just good to photograph. I think that's a big chunk of it, but also like you said, saturating the market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a motel.
Yeah, I mean,
Motels are
yeah.
what they are. $70, then your doors faces your car,
Yeah.
And motels are mostly gone.
and they're mostly
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
it's not just Howard Johnson that's gone.
It's
It's the
true.
whole
Yeah.
sector.
the
that's
whole outdoor Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
The
And
place surrounding the pool.
Yep.
Yeah.
that's right. Those things.
Yeah.
I lost my 2 front teeth at a hotel called Smiley's Hotel. Seriously, no, I'm not joking. The life of my ironic life.
Yeah.
Smiley's Hotel, lost my 2 front teeth in a motel pool.
Sounds like a really bad blues
Yes,
song.
it does. It does. Just outside of we were in Gettysburg.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now it is a country song.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
outside of Gettysburg.
Yeah. I'm just telling you.
All right, I've got a question. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I'm
for it.
sure that you all have talked about Colonel Sanders on this show.
Oh,
Ever?
I'm
Sometime?
from Corbin. and
Okay,
I don't think we have.
Okay, that's funny.
All right, we're gonna have to have Colonel Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
Day now.
Well, I mean, speaking of people who are famous but weren't necessarily great people.
Yeah, I mean, he shot it.
But I thought one thing so when I went to the Corbin,
Mm.
main.
You ate where it all
location-
began?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a T-shirt that says that.
And it was so smart. So they also had the restaurant, but then back behind it was like a motor lodge.
Mhm.
Right.
And it was right on US 25.
Mhm.
And inside the restaurant there was a model motel room. So like the mom of the family could go check it out and make sure it was like up to standards while they were dining.
My father
And
never
they
did
didn't
that.
have to go check out the room. And it was still, now there's been they've renovated some since I was there last, but I'm sure it's still there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so clever. Like that was a really good marketing idea.
Okay, so
For
in
him.
the model restaurant in Corbin that I've
Yeah.
been in,
Yeah.
they showed that, and
Yeah.
I just thought that was just for display to show you what the hotel.
No, plaque. I read all.
Oh, Don,
I did not.
Don, read the plaque.
Yeah, hey, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Reading is, hey, kids, reading
Smart marketing idea.
is helpful.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yes.
Well,
If you too can be an inventor, if you can read.
I mean, that's even before, obviously that's before Howard Johnson.
But
That's how
that's
it kind of
marketing
started,
genius
Yeah.
stuff.
driving on the highways and needing to eat. and
Here's
stay
a-
So it's
somewhere.
kind of like a sample of like, you know, you go over to see a home and it's all furnished out. Like, well, I think
Yeah.
this room does have a bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was before websites.
And,
You could see the room
Exactly.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was a character.
Yeah, I wonder if that was probably a motor lodge. I think I've been there, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that the little houses aren't there. The lodging part of it is gone.
So do you think Colonel Sanders was doing that sort of thing before Howard Johnson? I don't know when Howard Johnson.
I don't know about
The
either of those
50s,
days.
right?
Yeah. Suddenly that might have come after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and you know how Colonel Sanders had a long history of restaurant failures before he
Oh,
started.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I got to share this and I'll stop talking about Colonel
No,
Sanders.
no, by all means.
He actually has a history or connection to Berea. My restaurant is right on Main Street, right on Chestnut Street in Berea, and right across the street was the Dixie Kitchen. For a time, he owned it,
Really?
and he ended up getting arrested
Yeah.
and going to jail overnight
That was common for him.
because of he didn't get his restaurant license because he purchased the business and it already had the license and he needed to update it. But he thought it wasn't fair that he had to get a new restaurant license. So rather than get another restaurant license, he spent the night in jail. And that when I first got my building, a guy who knows history about Berea said, "Hey, you were right across the street from this restaurant." That yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I
Kind
don't
of
know.
a
I might have
funny-
took his side. on
I
that
know.
one.
Listen, don't get me started with it's still that same way. With
Uh-huh.
licenses and fees for
Yes.
owning a food business. It's a lot. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
it's fair.
that is wild,
Yeah.
though. Well, you know, we'll have to look into that and see, because
Yeah.
he might have predated Howard Johnson.
Yeah, it was 52 when KFC got
52?
started.
Mhm.
So
Oh, okay, right around the same.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's see.
It all comes back to food.
All comes back to food. All right, let's jump out of the time machine and talk about some businesses and inventions in the news. So let me get back on track here. We talked about
Rare earth materials, Don.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. it is.
everybody wants the rare earth materials. We're gonna take over Greenland. We're gonna,
World War III will probably be fought over that.
yeah,
Over rare earth metals, I mean, specifically.
Mm.
cobalt. Everybody needs cobalt. How did that
I
happen?
had a cat named Cook.
Really? Figured you had a bug.
So this invention could give Australia the edge in a billion-dollar hunt for rare earth materials. Now, you know, when I first, this kind of threw me a little bit because first thing I thought was, oh, this means that there's rare earth materials in Australia. Maybe there is, maybe there's not. I don't know. But this is all about the inventor of a new biosensor prototype to detect rare earth minerals. And
Just
what
like my
looks
mother
like-
witching water.
this
Kinda.
this is just a simple colorimetric test, looks like to me. And what looks like a simple scientific test could give Australia the edge in a billion-dollar race. Vial of liquid that changes color from yellow to dark purple when exposed to lanthanides. I knew somebody could help me with that.
Reading is handy.
Yes, that's right. Chemical element commonly used in the home, electronics, batteries, and medical equipment.
Nice.
So this is cool. this
Look,
is
there's an
such a,
invention being commercialized. That's what you do.
yes, it
Yeah.
is. Absolutely. So rare earth materials,
Sweet.
how the oh, look, here's a
Video.
video.
So if you were the guy that checking the chlorine in the pool, finally you have a handy job and you can,
This looks
for-
like a
yeah,
chlorine.
flipping-
that's what I'm talking
Yeah, it
about.
does.
Doesn't it look like the chlorine?
Yeah, let me shake that up.
Yeah.
Oh, the pool is safe, kids.
Yeah, and there looks, that looks like a cartoon. So anyway, yeah, that's just kind of mind boggling.
Mhm.
So do you think that we're able to still uncover simple stuff like this?
Yeah.
I mean, how they made it wasn't simple. They basically took like bacterial proteins and they made a chimera version. So like really complicated stuff,
Huh.
actually. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. They basically flipped some of the structures of the proteins in a way that doesn't like exist in nature.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's the deal. So heck of a endeavor. You know, what do you think, Eric?
So I got to tell you, back in my day, and yes, absolutely. I think that there's still simple things out there to be invented. But back when I was doing entrepreneurship and filing patents and things like that, my patent attorney told me one time there's such a thing as the 5-finger test on the patent claims. So if I can put 5 fingers down on the paper and the claim shorter, it's going to get rejected.
Really?
So
I love
just
that.
the patent office's thing, you know, because you got to have something more complicated
Huh.
that takes longer time to describe. So anyway, you know, I think it's harder and harder for things that are super simple
Huh.
to get, you know, to get out there. But yeah, absolutely. I think there's all kinds of simple things out there. The best ideas are the simplest ones.
Full agreement.
Yeah. And you know, and I think that's so many times where inventors overlook
Mm.
is they think, oh, I've got to do this big, grandiose thing with all these electronics and apps, and
Yep.
and they don't realize that there could be something sitting right in front of them
Mhm.
that's just simple as anything,
Right.
and that everybody just jumps into.
Mm.
Yep.
Mm.
So,
And in some cases, you know, even if there are 2 ways to do things, the simpler option is the better.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's true.
That in agriculture, that really rings true
Mm.
because if it can break, it's like Murphy's Law, it will. And the simpler you can make it, tends to be. And that's probably why agriculture has remained, you know,
Little jumps here and there, but
Yeah.
largely
it has. And so,
Hmm.
you know, like, you know, pulleys, planes,
Yep.
Wheels,
Years.
gears.
Yeah.
No, they
Yeah,
dominate.
John Deere
They
hasn't changed a
they
whole
still
lot.
dominate, you
They
know,
got sat nav
you
now
know,
and cabs,
you
but that's
know,
about
and,
it.
and when it comes to animal husbandry, even more so,
Mm.
because it's like they're just like walking around trying to figure out what stupid thing they could do next.
Mm.
I mean, nature is Mother Nature can be a serial killer,
Mhm.
and she is, and you know, every day I try to ask myself, you know, are we meant to, you know, animal husbandry? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, in New Zealand, they got animals just walking on the road.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, you just drive around, you go a little slower, you
Absolutely.
see some sheep, you slow down,
Yeah.
you know. You know, I tell Dawn all the time, I drive down the highway and I'm like, I'd like to graze that highway. Now
I won't
that grass
elaborate.
looks really good.
I won't elaborate further on animal husbandry because this would be a whole hour, but I will say this, and this is going to be like a nice little teaser for some future episode. But really, we didn't do animal husbandry. Wheat, the plant, domesticated us, and then we domesticated animals so we could grow more wheat. So really, wheat's responsible for all.
Yeah, okay. I'll buy that. Thanks. Yeah, but it's just, but when it simply, like for instance, my walk and wean machine that weans calves off of cattle, it works very simply on a very simple mechanism of a lever action, you know, and because it could get broken very easily. I mean, if that was the case, we'd have, you know, GPS tracking collars on cattle, and they're trying to do that.
I've seen that.
They're trying to do that. There's a guy that actually, you know, you can go out to Nebraska and you can literally, you know, like if you get they treat them like dogs, like invisible fencing,
Yeah.
and you can move them around with your phone and stuff. I went and saw it at the Alltech conference, and he had a full house of listening to everything he had to say. So, but is it,
I'm suddenly visioning this Far Side cartoon.
yeah,
The bears with the things,
The crackers.
yeah.
where the things, and they say, hey, these things just snap right
Oh,
off.
yeah. Yeah, it's the truth though. And will he be able to, make that digital transition to husbandry? Drones maybe later, ear tags, but we can barely, we can barely keep ear tags in our cattle.
Yeah.
It's just, if it can happen, it does happen when it comes to animals.
Yeah.
So, rotational grazing, things like that. I'm always looking at it's like, boy, I just kind of just, wish I could just turn them out, keep them off the road and use maybe one day that'll be. Think about how much, all I do is think about how much money are we paying to maintenance our interstate highway system if we could just set up to where, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you hit one of them, instant barbecue.
It comes back down, saying it's more better. It's more, and nature keeps trying to tell us that it's not.
This is the big takeaway from this episode.
I know.
Tesla was a prophet, and so was Wendell Berry. So
Yeah, more does not equal better. So would it be better if we just took when we were like New Zealand, we all drove a little bit slower, a little bit safer, and you see cows up on the road like traffic, you stop and let them go across, or saying why does going faster? But the system's set, I guess. So we're.
What say you, Katie?
I'm just thinking about, it's interesting, you're talking about farming, not some parts of farming not making a ton of progress, and it makes me think of the food business. Like, think how similar my restaurant is to a restaurant 100 years ago. Very similar.
Yeah.
Except for the point of sale.
You're
And
exactly
it's
right.
crazy.
I know.
And I mean, not like I want to have robots flipping burgers, but
I know.
like it does feel
I think
interesting that
justifiably so. You're exactly right. Why is it that way? Because guess what? There are three things that we need: water, air, and food.
Yeah.
But like in an economy where having an independent restaurant, like we're talking about restaurants going under, those are chain restaurants that have much better margins than independent restaurants. Like something has to give for independent restaurants to be able to be profitable and net more than 10% profit. So like, is there technology or is there an invention that
I think some
makes
of it
that?
is cultural, like
Yeah.
the view of restaurants. Like when I was in Japan, like you talking about how it was like it was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
There are restaurants in Japan where you can ask the owner and be like, how long has this restaurant been around? Oh, I'm like 15th generation. Like,
Yeah.
wait, you've been around how long? Oh, about 800 years. Well, what have you guys changed? Well, we got tablets to take credit cards.
Right.
It's not that different. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Now, personally, I would like to see a robot flip a burger, though.
Yeah.
I really do want to see it.
Sure, I would love to see it, but when does that technology get to the point of a restaurant?
I know some people
small
that could
restaurant.
probably do that.
Yeah, totally.
I was listening to an episode of How I Built This, the podcast.
Love that podcast.
And
Yeah.
they were talking about the fact that how complicated a restaurant is.
Huh.
And they made the point that you walk into a shoe store. Can you imagine walking into a shoe store and saying, I want this pair of shoes and doing the specs on it?
Huh.
And they go down in the basement and make
Put
it
together.
from raw materials and
Huh.
bring it back up to you in, while you wait.
Right.
And drawing the analogy. And it's
Yeah.
amazing when you think about that.
Yeah.
That a restaurant that's sitting here creating a meal from scratch, right in front of you, manufacturing at scale to everybody's specs. I mean,
That is
very, very.
They do have menus though.
Yeah, but still,
Well-
bespoke clothes are a luxury. Bespoke food is just normal.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Hmm.
Now let's move on to one of my favorite subjects. Tractor beams.
Yeah. While you're pulling up your little thing, let me tell a story about tractor beams. One of my favorites. One of my
You have a story
Yeah.
about tractor beams.
Hold on. One of my favorite lines in any movie of all time is E.T. And he comes and they're in that playground and all the boys are on the bicycles. They're trying to rescue E.T. And the doors come up and the smoke comes up, whatever. And the kid goes, this isn't whatever. He's like, we got to get him to a ship, whatever. He's like, can't he just beam up? He goes, this is reality, Greg. It's the best line I've ever. I love it.
This is reality.
This is reality, Greg. So whenever
Well, speaking of reality, so tractor beam. Okay, this spoiler alert. This was a disappointing article for me. Because I'm wanting a tractor beam that's going to like lift up my car 20 feet in the air. But no, tractor beam allows for easier optical manipulation of biological experiments. So this is MIT engineers, in an effort to simplify and shrink down the process, has come up with a novel approach to helping biologists and clinicians study DNA, classify cells, and explore the inner workings of diseases. Developed a miniature chip-based tractor beam like the spaceship tracking tech from Star Wars and Star Trek. Tiny device relies on silicon photonic chip to generate a beam of light that can manipulate particles close to the chip's surface. The light passes through a glass cover, so the biological samples stay in the sterile environment and remain viable for experimentation.
Wait, does light have mass?
That's what I'm not getting with this. I'm
Uh.
thinking, okay, did they just call it a tractor beam? And it's really just
How does light
something that's-
move something without mass? You can't have momentum without mass, right?
That's what I was
P
thinking.
equals mv.
So
or this could be just a poorly written article.
that's kind of what I was wondering. Okay, are they really moving this thing, or are they just saying, "Oh, we can see it underneath now because of light"?
Wait a minute. I could be wrong, but light does have an energy to it. So maybe it just excites that particle, and that's what causes the particle to move.
Because
The
it's
particle's
so
mass is
small.
what's carrying the I don't know. This is weird.
Leo, figure it out and get back to
Leo will figure
This-
it out.
yeah.
That's the thing.
this is above my pay grade.
This is trippy stuff. Yeah.
The researchers accomplished this new form of chip-based optical tweezing by using a semiconductor manufacturing process to make tiny antennas to help steer and shape the beam. Enable the first cell experiments with a single beam of optical tweezers. I'm a little with Kevin in this. I don't know if I'm buying it. I think
They're being awfully
I-
cavalier with the word beam
Well, it is light, but yeah.
It's light,
and
but is it?
tractor beam.
The tractor photon.
But are they actually lifting the material?
Listen, they got you to click on it.
They did. They really did. I thought, well, this is cool. It's a tractor beam. I've always wanted a tractor beam. Looks like I'm not going to get one unless I just want to raise up a cell molecule or something. So anyway, I don't know, guys. What do you think? Is this a science fiction
I don't know. Like I
come
said,
true, or
it's
is
above my-
this?
it's above my pay grade.
I'm almost calling it yes. on
Let's have Eric comment on this one. Looks like he's
that.
way smarter than I am on this one.
I don't know, guys. I got nothing to say.
This-
Sounds exciting.
This
though.
does not fall into the KISS principle.
No, it sounds
I'm-
exciting.
Well, okay. My vote is I'm not holding my breath. They want to lift up a pencil or a
Yeah.
car, then yeah, I'm all over it. So,
If you could move on something on a cellular level, though, it could be better because, like right now with gene editing, you got two options. You can either do the shotgun approach, which is CRISPR, or you could do a plasmid, which is more accurate. But this, if you could move the gene and then replace the gene, you could like really fix mutations. I don't know. Like that's just hypothetical. I don't know though.
so now we've moved from tractor beams to actual teleportation.
Yeah, we're basically genetically modifying things with light, basically.
That's what you need to touch base on next time.
Mm.
CRISPR. That's the
CRISPR, yeah, it's wild.
talk about innovation.
Mm.
So, yeah. What do you think? You buying this,
I still
Katie?
think electricity is witchcraft. Like it's, I don't know how, that's, yeah, I know a lot. I'm interested in a lot of things, but this is, yeah.
I'm thinking this is more like a magic trick
Uh-huh.
that's being explained like it's a tractor beam, but we'll see. We'll keep an eye on this.
Leo will get to the bottom of it.
He will, yeah.
I know he will.
That's the thing. He'll figure this out. So, all right. Well, let's go from tractor beams to satellites.
I got a story about a satellite.
Oh my God.
Really?
No, I'm just joking.
I was just
Why we all watch Don why he fiddles with the internet and gets the picture up. I have a major announcement.
Oh gosh. All right. First satellite of wood is launched into space.
Wow.
The SpaceX mission launched Monday evening, docked successfully with the International Space Station. Among the myriad of items in the mission carried is its first satellite made from wood, a palm-sized cube called the Lignosat.
Yeah.
Developed by Kyoto University researchers and the Japanese timber company, Sumitomo Forestry. Lingostat, the satellite is named after the Latin word for wood, will soon be launched into orbit about 250 miles above Earth. And this kind of actually reminded me of something interesting. They're actually doing CubeSats. They're building these things. I think they're still building them in Kentucky.
Huh.
Eric, you heard anything recently on?
Not any recent updates, but I definitely know Morgan Space Science Center was
Yep.
building. They've got incredible facilities down
Huh.
there.
I've been there twice. I really want to go again.
Where?
I know the guy that runs it, Moorhead,
Huh.
Kentucky.
Yep.
And it's oh shoot, I'm
When did
blank out on
Moorhead
his
become
name.
the hub?
Ben Malford, Dr. Ben
Yep.
Malford. Yeah. So he took me down, gave me a grand tour of the place, and I felt like I was in a movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they're building and so he's like, yeah, we're building these satellites, and they're CubeSats are
Yep.
kind of smallish,
Yeah.
but they were building them right there. And then he takes me up into the control center,
Yep.
and he points up to the top of this mountain, and on
Yep.
top of this mountain is this huge satellite dish, and he says this is the only satellite dish, one of two satellite dishes that is talking to deep space objects. And I looked at him and I said, in Moorhead, Kentucky. And he said, yeah, right here. So now they're making them out of wood.
So speaking of keep it simple,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
True.
So,
I still didn't hear what this cube is doing. What's the
yeah, is there a function?
Yeah.
you can talk
Let's
about?
let me go back to this. Just a second.
inquiring minds want to know?
Yes. So with timber, a material we can produce by ourselves, we are able to build houses, live and work in space forever. So it doesn't break down in.
What
I guess
it
wouldn't
is.
break down in
Yeah, that
space.
makes sense.
But it's just made of, oh, there it
There it
is.
is. There's the picture.
Well, that's about the
Renewable
size of a
material.
CubeSat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to burn up when it falls back in the atmosphere. That's
Yeah.
a good thing, I guess.
Yeah.
No space junk, except for the other parts. So exposure test, they were doing in 2020. So I guess they just used of screws and glue. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like something a kid would make in arts and crafts.
There,
Like,
that next sentence talks about what it's going to be doing. Measure how the wood down below.
Oh, down below.
Oh, so they're
How
actually
the wood
wanting to
reacts
know
to
what
harsh
happens to
speed.
wood in
During the
space. Is that what they're trying to do?
Yeah, sensors inside will measure how the wood reacts to the
Oh,
harsh extreme conditions of space,
see.
interesting.
as well as the ability to shield semiconductors from the effects of radiation. So I'm wondering how well it's going to work in the long run.
Yeah, interesting.
I wouldn't think well, but
That's what I thought too. I thought, okay, yeah, that's
But what is
It's
the,
wood.
what
So
is,
what's the outside traditionally made from?
Like aluminum.
I think they're
Oh, really?
metal.
Interesting.
composites maybe.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Fiberglass, maybe, I don't know. That's what I was always.
We'll have to ask, Dr. Malcolm.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of the exteriors are solar cell or antennas or other things
Huh.
like that, typically.
Mhm.
So there's not a lot of like open space
Yeah,
anyway.
so the outer surfaces are usually functional.
Huh.
No, that's true.
Hmm.
That's true.
Space carpenter. I don't know.
I can see that now.
I mean, what is the
Space
what is the one weakness of wood is moisture.
Yeah.
So
There's nothing
this,
space,
yeah, so that
so,
might actually be
yeah.
viable. I don't know.
As a
Yeah.
biological material, you expose it to vacuum, you expose it to radiation, you
Will it
expose it to
shrink?
temperature. You
Will it
expose it to-
shrink?
That's
I mean,
kind of the $1 million
Yeah,
question.
yeah, that is.
Yeah.
You get bombarded by a lot of nasty stuff in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering.
do you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no atmosphere for radiation to be absorbed.
Okay,
You're just
okay.
getting nuked by the sun, basically.
All right.
So then
Good to
maybe-
know.
So yeah, I'm just wondering if this is, oh, we said we put the first piece of wood into space,
Yeah.
or is this something that, oh, well, maybe we can do something with this? And I guess, you know, you could give them,
Well, it goes full circle to Edison and his wax cylinder that's not practical, you know, it's the
Mhm.
first
That's
step.
true.
Yeah,
Maybe they're gonna make a minesweeper of space.
that would be fun.
You know, minesweeper ships are made out of wood.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
if things are attached to wood or, you know, weaponized from the metal or magnet, you know, whatever, maybe you can, yeah, well, let's just drive this wooden ship around.
There you go.
And, well, I figured it out.
Yeah, this sounded more and more like something out of a Douglas Adams
Yeah.
novel. So, all right. Well, with that, we got a couple of featured inventors right here with us tonight, who you've been hearing from. Let's talk a little bit about hemp cattle.
Want me to go first?
Yeah, let's.
All right.
He's warning you in advance.
He's warning. You want me to go first? Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure?
Yeah, I'll go first. I really
All
have,
right.
I really have a simple message. I've done beating the drum about hemp as a plant-based protein and all that stuff already. But what I'm here is what, you know, Don, you know, asked me to talk about is vending machines. Okay. So what I've done is I realized about beef is that when you harvest an animal, 60% of the animal is burger. And if you get creative with your cut card, the round and the chuck, which are the two larger muscle groups, and even if you're allowed to, even if you stake them out because you're getting marbling in those muscle groups, you're still going to barely make 55% to 50% of is going to be burger. So if you keep harvesting animal for steaks, you got to find a home for the burger. And the reason why steaks are so expensive is because you can't move the burger faster than you move the steaks. So if you can move the burger faster than you can move the steaks, then prices of steaks will go down. So, and if you keep as a farmer, from a farmer perspective, even on a farmer's market, you'll end up in burger prison if you keep harvesting animals for steaks. You'll end up with a freezer full of meat, of burger, and then you end up lowering the price down. Therefore, it's a non-reflection of the work that went into it, or the plant-based protein that went into it, or whatever protein went into it. So this is the dynamic that keeps the beef industry from moving forward. Farmers are not free to move their product directly to the public. They either they have a choice. Either they go through the existing system or they have to go to on their own in farmers markets. Well, mass frustration ends up happening because farmers are too busy farming. So the people that are sitting in farmers markets actually aren't the actual farmers. They're people that are buying the farmer's work, taking 10 animals, putting feed into them, and then they're almost like a glorified retailer of the beef. Very few farmers have over 25 head because it's too much to actually do the farming and the retail side of the direct marketing. So there's this serious gap between farmers markets and the actual system that's set up. Well, me being a terrible farmer that I think that I am, and more of an actually a businessman, I hate the fact that farmers don't have the power in their hands. So I spent my time sitting in a store educating about hemp fed beef. I had an idea that why does this not successful? And I had an idea of putting meat into vending machines. I bought the first vending machine, which is a spiral type vending machine, a long time ago, and it can only hold 150 pounds. That's the newest one. And so I had it retrofitted to hold 1 pound packages of burger. And but I entertained investors this summer, and because I do to do a custom vending machine that could hold more burger was going to cost somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000. So that was more than I was willing to risk on myself. I was like, maybe I need to take on investors and give away some equity of my company and to get this going. Well, when I started researching the companies that I called the vending machines that make the brand new vending machines, they told me that they're not doing any new vending machines. No more custom work. They're covered up with the existing orders that they have. And why would they want to build a design that holds 1 pound packages of burger for me? And they don't even know if it's going to work. So that went out the door. And I was like, well, I'd always had a backup plan in my mind. And the backup plan was that 12-ounce cans of soda are almost the exact weight of a 1 pound package of burgers, and they also share the same size of like if a burger's put into like a sausage type situation. And that's one of the frequent ways that you can either get the square vacuum sealed packages or you can get the tubular types. And so I was like, similar in shape, similar in size. Can I take a vending machine, an old Coke machine? I will just use the word Coke, actually it's called a Dixie Narco 501E is the model number. They make something called a 601E that holds 500 cans of soda into a freezer, because it needs to be frozen to hold its shape. And if you're going to stack burger inside of it just like cans, it has to be hard, so it has to be frozen. So this was kind of always my backup plan. And you can buy Dixie Narco 501Es and 601Es for like $1,000 to $1,500. So it's almost like recycling makes sense. And so I went through a stage of working this through in my mind, and I've been sitting on it for a long time. And I ran it by the guy that I buy vending machines that has a warehouse in North Carolina full of vending machines. And he's brilliant. He's a brilliant businessman himself. And I said, how many of these vending machines you got? And you're saying, he's like, oh, I got more than you need, and I always will have more than you need, because there are vending machines outside of Walmart are no longer prevalent. So all those machines are just sitting in warehouses doing nothing, and they're dirt cheap, and because now Walmart and all these places want to sell the sodas inside. They don't want to give it to you for 50 cents or 25 cents outside of it. They may want to make you come in and buy it into one of their coolers inside. So all these vending machines they're gone the way of the dodo. So for $1,000 or so, you can buy a 501E and whatnot. Well, I said to this gentleman, I said, well, I want to convert it over to a freezer, because, typical can vending machines keep a temperature at 36 to 43 degrees, which is what you want your soda to be when it drops out and whatnot. He's like, it was impossible. I was like, I don't think it is. So I went to my crazy guy that helped me build my walk-in freezer, a local guy that I lean on for my crazy ideas sometimes when it comes to the HVAC. And he goes, I've already done it. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, I've already done it. I had a guy that wanted to put ice cream into a vending machine, and we got it down to 15 degrees or 10 degrees, but it wouldn't hold the ice cream, because ice cream has a freezing point of -5 degrees. So the ice cream kept melting in it. But I got it down to 15 degrees, Kevin. And I'm like, interesting. I'm like, don't BS me. Is that true? Because this guy's almost as crazy as I am. And he's like, it's true. I can do it. So I was like, if I go buy a Dixie Narco 501E, can you start working on converting it? All right. So this is the story. So I was like, well, I don't even know if the meat will actually bend through the simple mechanism at the bottom and not tear up the package. So I drive around Lexington looking for one that I could just go throw my frozen meat in and watch it bend out the bottom. And that's the video you saw right there. Whatever. I couldn't get it done in Lexington. So I called my guy in North Carolina who has these vending machines laying around. So I sent him 50 pounds of burger. frozen in the ice pack. I said, put it in your machine and see if it'll come out the bottom. And that's the video he took me. And I said at the dawn, I was like, I'm on to something. And after that, so that happened. Okay, there it is. That's just some beat up, burger that I had in my freezer that I'd sent him in whatever to run this test on. Anyway, so I sent it to him, and he's like, after I talked to my HVAC guy, I said, it's possible. It can be done. He didn't believe me. He's like, Kevin, I'll sell you any vending machines you want, but it can't be done. But I will check with my HVAC guy here that works for me and see if it's done. And he talks to his guy. He says, of course it can be done. We have to change out the compressors. So then run different cycles on the off time when it thaws out the whatnot. So I was like, can you get it done for me? Send me money, I'll do it. Boom, I sent him money. So instead of $8,000 to $10,000 for a vending machine, now I'm going to be $3,000 in, and recycling, and I get a new compressor. So in other words, I'm just paying for the shell with the new compressor, and it's literally that sun drop machine that he was just showing up there. So now I've got to take. So here's the reason why I had to go to the can vending machines is because of repeatability. Repeatability. I had the other vending machine ready to go and go in stores, but it's a limited amount of models that make them. This is a limited amount of models, so I can literally put them everywhere. So my life is getting ready to totally switch from being the actual guy that does the hemp raising and the hemp growing and all the stuff that I've been pushing forward. It's going to change for me. I'm going to have to become the gas bag at the stores talking about my product. And somebody else is going to have to take over. Well, this is not easy for a farmer that's put his life into these things. So I actually need tons of help moving forward. And Eric's going to help me with that. He's promised already.
No pressure.
And so is Katie. So what we're going to do is, I've already got placement in Rural King and Winchester for the first vending machine. That's the first place, but I envision it going in places that have groceries, but don't want the liability of having a meat department. Okay, they sell seasonings and whatnot. So that's my job, is to get the placement, talk about hemp fed beef, and talk people into that they can buy a product that's as fresh as it can be from a farmer directly. And that's my goal, is to battle that now and talk about what I'm doing and all the stuff that I'm doing on the farm, like I have been with you guys today in roundabout ways. But the vending machine is my Trojan horse for people to actually listen to me, because the way I farm and the plant-based proteins that I use is pretty radical, to the point that they don't even want to accept me into the club. And they're not going to be able to ignore me now. And so that's what I'm really looking forward to, is this opportunity with the vending machines or product. It could go over like a lead balloon. I don't think that there's any chance that this can fail, because price will dictate if it fails. And when I'm not paying the store 30% for placement in the store, that's already 30% off the top of any burger that I can place. So my wife are debating about price points to start. Do we want to start so low that they can't ignore us? Do we want to start what we normally charge for a hemp fed burger? Do I want to run corn-fed burger in with my hemp-fed burger? Because I truly believe you don't destroy something until you have something better. So will I have corn-fed burger with my products in these vending machines? I am running the gamut about, do I want to have ground turkey, ground pork? Will I be able to find local suppliers that are going to hone that in? Right now, it's going to be hemp-fed beef in the first one for sure, because I know I can do that. You know what I'm saying? I know I can do that. And then we'll see it grow. Once I have proof of concept that it's going to go off, it could be, I now have the repeatability at an affordable price that I can now take on. I mean, I see this going one of two ways. Either one, the first vending machine is successful, and I blitz the public with these vending machines and just go full bore and put them in every Dollar General, every Rural King, every gas station, whatnot, or if I do I do 10 to start off with? Because it's a money thing, 10 is $30,000 right off the top, and not everybody has $30,000 just laying around. So I'll be honest with you, Dawn's been kind enough to help me you have lend an ear to me and be supportive to me because I think he sees a real chance here. But I'm open to any help at all. If you think that I own, I don't own vending machines. I can't patent them. I believe it's an answer to the problem that we have with meat becoming more elite. And I think I can help people with dynamic pricing for neighborhoods with vending machines. I really can help people, keep this, and not just that, what am I going to run up against? Am I going to run up against, like I joke around, I call it big beef. But whenever you threaten anybody's typical dynamic and livelihood, you are a threat. So I'm opening all to everything, about anybody that wants to come join, come out to the farm and I'll talk about it. If you want to help me, I think my goal is by the end of February to have the first vending machine and have an event at the Rural King out front. And I'll probably spend, a month there just gas bagging and talking about all the stuff that I have to offer. And if people listen, I'm going to use the same marketing tool that I use for Wildcat Hay on Facebook Marketplace. I'm going to join every food page, every health nut page, every gym page, everybody that works out type page. And I'm going to copy and paste the heck out of it and run like free commercials of myself on Facebook to people that actually care about this type of stuff. So when they open their Facebook page, they're going to see me 20 times. And I'm going to be at Rural King.
Outside of gyms would be a good location, actually. 'Cause
Whatever.
Walk out and it's like, there's
Gyms.
protein.
I'm not indifferent to my wife thought about that too. But the key is it can go anywhere.
Yeah.
You can get it at a gas station, instead of ice, you get beef. And I don't know where it's going to go. I just know that the power of this is bigger than myself. I just know that the concept is bigger than myself. Yes, I do want to pay for, but I already have, I've already protected myself when it comes to trademarks and whatnot when it came to Hemp Cattle Company. I also own a trademark for Bourbon Cattle Company, which because Hemp Cattle Company is my end of the healthy, but I do believe in the syrup and the bourbon industry's leftovers that are feeding animals is an opposite side of that. Gluttony, the beef that comes from bourbon fed cattle I mean, it is nth degree marbled. It tastes different, but just same way Hemp Cattle Company tastes different. So I'm going to go with the Hemp Cattle Company. Whether I feature other type of producers later on in these vending machines and open that door for them, I don't know. I'm playing around with price. I don't know if I'm just, it's hard to always go backwards. So do I start at, less than what I've probably and work it up? Do I, I've got to think these things out and get them on, but that's where I'm at with the vending machines. I think it's interesting.
So do you have a launch date?
No, not a launch date. I said, if I'm going to take on, if I'm going to repeat this, once I have proof of concept, do I show the bank or any investors I'm literally, it's ready. The vending machine is ready.
Well, I meant launch for the
It's ready. All I have to do is pull it back and I have to show it to somebody. Either I have to launch it on my own and then I wait for people to see the cavalcade and I get on TV or whatever the hell it happens. I have no idea what's going to happen. And does the banker be like, I'll give you a bunch and we can buy a bunch of them. Or if I do want to put it on myself, I've always figured that it would be a community of people, because if you're going to take it on, you're going to cut the head off this monster of the beef industry, you got to have help. And it's got to be a community. It's a lot easier for, like I was telling Don, they can attack me. And if it's just me in a bank, they can cut the head off of Kevin, but can they cut the head off of Clark County? A community.
Okay, I've got a suggestion or a question.
Fire on it.
Have you ever considered crowdfunding?
I have, and I think I have a real shot at something at doing that. I don't be honest with you. With crowdfunding, I think it would be. I don't know. This is just me. I would. The way I
I've
talk
done
to
2
people.
crowdfunding campaigns, small. But I think crowdfunding can be a great way to raise money, but it can also be a great way to market a business or
It's
a
almost
product.
2 things, and there's been some success stories, and most of them revolve around helping people. They really do. The ones that really take off have a way of helping people immediately.
Well,
And I can't think of a more prevalent time than right now. The awareness that people have and the effects of what it could bring to the public right now, it could. And I'm not against that. I just didn't have proof of concept
Right.
yet,
And I don't think it would actually be that, I mean,
but I have it.
I think the challenge when small businesses are trying to get loans is collateral. But if you're using it to buy equipment, it's immediately going to be collateralized.
Yeah.
So that there's less risk for a banker.
That's correct. That's correct. So in other words, if somebody did crowdfunding or even equity, I have that 30%. That's why I took on these angel investors that I met with, this summer. But you know what? They don't believe in the concepts. They only believe in ROI.
Mhm.
As simple as that is, and I'm not going to call them any names. ROI is the name of the game
Yeah.
for them, and I understand that.
Yeah.
That's what they're after, and I don't blame them for that.
Crowdfunding
But as
is
in, like,
more
I
the
do not want to get in bed with anybody that doesn't believe in the other stuff.
Right.
Mhm.
Sorry.
I'm fully,
So
that was a great argument for crowdfunding. I think
so
it's-
Well-
crowdfunding. That's kind of why I want. If I put this out in front of masses, these are people that are like, he's talking my language here.
And the way, so I've done two very small, they were like one was 5,000, one was 6,000 or something. And we basically used it, I had zero capital, we were paycheck to paycheck, family. And so a $3,000 amount to start my little kitchen was I couldn't overcome that. But the way I did it was, I wasn't asking for donations, I was essentially just pre-selling my products. So you've already got your product
I do.
and you just need
Money.
cash right now.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Now the
so-
question is crowdfunding is really, from what I can tell, is the website takes a cut. Obviously, if they don't do it for free, nobody does anything for
Did you
free.
You have to
Yours on
build that in.
But it's not tying me. I'm not getting in bed with anybody. These people are actually
Right.
just giving on their own
Yeah.
that they really want this product. They really want it to happen.
Resales.
And it's building on the relationships
Yes.
that you already have.
And so I'm for that.
Yeah,
I
I mean, it's a lot of work.
learned, this summer was a real learning process, entertaining some people.
Mhm.
And I was like, boy, I just don't know if I want to do that now. And I was like, because they just don't understand. And to be honest with you, the ones that I did meet up with that actually tasted the product and were blown away by the product. The next thing they knew, you know what they wanted to do? They wanted to monetize it in stores. I was like, no, I'm already broken all the rules. I've broken the rules of the plant-based protein that I'm feeding. I'm breaking the rules with the inventions of how I treat the animals. I'm breaking the rules of how I'm going to take it to public. It
Mhm.
just fits into I get mass quantities of enjoyment out
Mhm.
of, I don't know, doing something different while it helps people.
Mhm.
I don't know. I lucky I walked into these things. It's
Mhm.
like I said, I didn't invent hemp. I didn't invent sun hemp. I didn't invent vending machines.
Are-
By the way, if you want to talk about business models, it's not like vending machines haven't already had success.
Yeah.
I'm saying? I don't have to be like, oh, look at my business model. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't think that there's anything that,
So you are definitely opening launching a vending machine, one vending machine.
one vending machine is done.
What?
I pick it up in North Carolina next week where I can
Nice.
figure out my kids to go up there and drive up there and pick it up. The question is repeatability. So I had the vending machines, I had the flow, but how many HVAC guys in a warehouse do I have to get these things going? You know what I'm saying? Like, you follow, I have to, like, I got two of them on hand. Can I convince them to leave their families and go up there and start converting vending machines and stuff?
Yeah. Interesting.
Do I go up to North Carolina and I bring them to Lexington and I have guys, hey, everybody come in if you want to help me with this stuff. And I think the real thing is the growth needs to go from 1 to 10 to 100.
Mhm.
And I always kind of vision 1 to 10 to 200, you know what I'm saying? Because I have to put meat in these suckers, you know what I'm saying? And proof of concept, the first one goes. Yeah, the money will come, hire a bunch of people. It'll be like Uber. I'll have growing pains. And then will I have to do with the food and health departments,
That was the question I had.
follow and they regulate that stuff.
Mhm.
I got to get the product. I got the truck. I got one Schwann's truck that I've converted over that I can plug in at night.
Mhm.
How many vending machines can it reach in one day?
Mm.
Am I going to sell? The beauty of these vending machines that the Dixie Narcos is they hold 500 pounds of burger. So when they run out the first one, you just hit the next one. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's one of the reasons why I'm probably not going to put the variety of products in the first couple
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
when they want empties, you know what I'm saying, the first button, they just hit the second button, you know what I'm saying? And it goes down that way. And I can hold 500 pounds. in there so that, you don't want to run out.
Mhm.
But when I have regular guys, driving around like madmen, maybe this will all go. And by the way, I'm not greedy enough to know that this isn't going to get copied. I know it's going to get copied. If
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
successful, it's going to get copied. But I'm on board with that.
Mhm.
As long as I get my hemp fed beef, if I get my ideas, my patents, and all the stuff that I'm dealing with the Wonka farming out there via this Trojan horse, I don't care if farmers start selling their own products and their own vending machines. It's going to change how the world works. I just can't not picture. I'm not Nostradamus. I don't think I know everything. I just can't imagine this not having a severe effect on every food,
Yeah.
maybe.
Some
So
ripples.
one quick thought. So I kind of lost the thought,
Mhm.
but one quick thought for you. Just in this circling back, coming full
Mhm.
circle, we started off. One of the things we talked about early on was Howard Johnson.
Mhm.
Right?
Mm.
There was nothing uniquely protectable about
Mhm.
a motel,
Mhm.
right? You can be the brand that owns
Mhm.
I know.
direct to farmer.
Mhm.
I can.
Face
I
of
can.
it.
But I'll be honest with you.
And
Be honest
that
with
you
you.
can protect.
Right.
Sort of. I could. I mean, but vending machines. I have a patent lawyer. He's a good one. Can I protect myself? Maybe. In
Well, that's
this.
what every lawyer says. That usually means yes.
Yeah. But vending machines are already owned. I don't have to put Dixie Narcos in there and whatnot. But most of the time you have to change something.
I was gonna say, I
I
think
really-
it's part of it until you become a behemoth, you have to, in some ways, I feel like the pain in the ass factor of what you're doing is going to keep a lot of potential competitors at bay.
Trade secrets,
Where
whatnot,
people
yeah,
aren't
because they haven't
willing
gone
to
down the
figure out
road of
all
what
the
I
things
did.
you're figuring
Right.
out at all.
So I have a chance, and how I've protected myself is through labeling. So I own Hemp Cattle Company. If you put hemp fed beef or hemp grazed, we've talked about this on the past on previous podcasts. So you want to find my dumb butt in another one talking about this. I protected myself through trademarking and labeling. So that you can't put hemp fed or any connotation of hemp beef, hemp steaks, hemp burger onto a label without coming through me. I got that done. I got that done, and I haven't been challenged on it. So it's been over a year now. So I got that part done. So as long as I build my reputation on this brand that I'm building through vending machines, I can end up being, more than that. But what I'm saying is that I'm okay with that. I will always have hemp fed beef as my beef out there. But I do see other avenues for other people to do things.
Yeah.
I'm not doing hemp fed chicken. I'm not doing hemp fed pork.
But why do the vending machines need to be hemp fed? I would break those two things.
Oh, I
So
could.
you own the hemp thing, that's fine.
I could.
But these vending machines, they
Uh-huh.
don't need to be hemp,
Yeah.
right? They can
Yeah.
be
They
chicken.
could be
they can
anything. I
pork,
could
they
be
can
farmers markets and whatever.
pork,
Good
turkey.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
But the first vending machine
Yeah, that's
will
smart.
be my product out
Sure,
there because
sure.
I want people, because I have not found the way for people to listen to me. And like I said, this is my Trojan horse to do so.
Sure.
Now, we turn this into mobile farmer markets and we call it farmers market or whatever we invented, whatever. I'm fine with that. Like I said, we got to prove, Don, my major hurdles. And if somebody's going to poke holes in what I'm doing is right now is, will people buy meat out of a vending machine?
Right.
Will they understand that frozen is frozen is actually a more direct farm to table fresh than actually buying out of the grocery store because meat is thawed.
Right.
So I've got to battle that buying a 1 pound package of frozen beef is actually the most direct way that you can buy it from a farmer. See, people don't know there's this massive thing that between farmers eat freezer beef.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
They don't eat grocery store beef.
Right.
They eat the frozen beef because they actually harvest the animals
Mhm.
themselves and put it in their own meat freezer and they have their own thing.
Yeah.
Same way as a hunter. It doesn't get more direct farm to table than actually frozen
Right.
burger, beef, chicken, turkey, everything, pork, all of it.
I'll tell you what.
Did I eat up all 30 minutes? I told you should have gone.
No, you're
When-
fine.
when-
My ideas are, I don't really have a lot of it.
Hey, it takes it. Don't
When,
kid
when
one.
you are ready to launch that first machine in that Will King in Winchester.
Inventors Network will be the first to know.
We want to let the world know.
I
So
will.
Neat.
absolutely.
I will. I cannot be more grateful. than the support that I've received. I mean, there's times that I just wanted to run my head in the shower when I had hot water going. I mean, I invented Farm Huggy right when COVID hit. More people were more aware of vaccines during that period than ever. And I had an invention that helps keep vaccines cold for up to 8 hours and out of sunlight, whether it's for an agriculture animal or human being. And I thought Farm Huggy was going to go off on the human end.
Mm.
And I'm just sitting there running my head through the shower. It's absolutely insanity what it takes to go through to get product to people and the
Yeah.
support
Yeah.
system. Without Dawn and Leo and the people that are here, you go bonkers.
Mhm.
And I told Dawn this. I was like, without just talking to people, that's why I opened a store. It was almost like I was doing it out of greed for myself because I needed to let people know.
Mm.
Because I'm sitting on this stuff and they're like, I really want to.
Marketing is they
And
realize that's the biggest.
Poor
problem.
Don sat down in my booth, and I think it's like his hair went backwards and his face was flushed because of it's like he stuck his head out of a window like a dog for 2 hours, and he was just like, I don't, I think I can help. It was something else, and but we stayed in contact, and when I'm losing my mind, I'll get a text from him and be like, you doing all right? Or he invites me on a podcast to gas bag and cut up with you fine people. But I'm just dying. I've gone to the universities before. I came to them initially. I'm not sour. I just know that's people are being people. You can't blame them. You know what I'm saying? You go to the people, you keep, I've gone and talked to students at the University of Kentucky, through, groups, but I've sent samples to the University of Kentucky for them to distribute, like Farm Huggy. I gave them free samples. I don't think it ever made it out of the dean's office. I was like, I need help from the next generation. These ideas are bigger than myself, and I have to give them away. I mean, what was it? Dr. Pierce Lyons once said, give away your ideas; they'll come back to you.
Like that.
And so I'm a believer in that. I'm 48 years old. The real tragedy, as I told Don, is if I die doing the most dangerous job. Okay, I've already had my hand stuck in a corn picker and had a life, ending situation that I dodged. Um, so I really have to get this information out. I hope I make money, but it's a story told over and over. The guy that does the walking to start with normally doesn't get the money. McDonald's brothers,
Yeah.
I mean Coke, Pepsi. I mean, all these things, these people didn't make the money, it was the second guy in or the third guy in that did it. And,
All right, I agree. I hear that, but I'll also slightly push back a little bit, kind of along with what Eric was saying. I also the podcast How I Built This, there was one about the guys who founded Slack. And that platform was created as an in-house communication tool for some people who were developing a game. And now the game is dead, but Slack is a huge company.
you never see the end.
And it makes me think that like your vending machine product distribution, that could end up being a separate, larger piece of this business that could be transformative as well, because you're seeing the problems in the direct marketing issues that farmers have.
Oh, it's terrible.
By solving, I mean, I started my bagel shop at the farmer's market, and
Perfect segue.
well, no, I was gonna say, like, most of the
Yeah.
farmers who were there when I started, they're not doing it anymore because you burn out. You can't go to market.
That's right.
And sit there all day.
Farmers
to
farm 365. It doesn't stop.
Mhm.
That's why I'm saying. And by the way, I'm not brilliant. I'm not brilliant. I went to UK. You know what I'm saying? I got my business degree, barely. And there was a terrible lack of efficiency when it came to animal husbandry and agriculture, and the ideas are just absolutely simple. I'm just stubborn, is what I am. I'm stubborn, and and I wanted this. I got lucky. Like I said, the whole idea came from something terrible in Clark County. I was doing grass-fed beef for Whole Foods and obviously running animals to the stockyards, to keep the bills paid. But I just hated being a part of that situation. I wanted to improve. I wanted to get power back to farmers. My Wonka system of thing actually, we've dove into this in previous podcasts, is that, we're slaves to the market. There's a reason why in spring and the fall that animals flood into the stockyards. It's because that's when they get cattle up.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a choice if you hold on to your animals or wintering them with more feed, which means more input costs, and you don't have the free grass. Well, weaning calves without any human involvement or gathering cattle without any human involvement literally puts the power into the farmer. I can sell an animal anytime I want to, and I don't have to get 100 up to do so. I can wean a calf without any human involvement, and I don't have to get them up to do so. What happened when I started weaning calves without any human involvement was they didn't walk the fence. They didn't die. It's like they were wired for stress. When you get humans involved, less is more.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away by the rabbit hole I fell down with these inventions, that I was like, wait a second, vending machines actually came out of something negative. I had some people that were helping me in my store, and I think they were stealing from me. And I was like, so it's okay. I was just a startup, but I didn't have any money to lose like that. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, I didn't have any money really to pay my employees. So do I feel bad for them that they were trying to feed their family? No, I don't. I really don't. Because they were working for free on the promise of this building of this company. Yeah, they were friends. And so I understood it. But the idea of something good came out of something negative. It's like the yin and the yang, I was like, wait a second. How can I was sitting there. I was sitting there all day long educating. I enjoyed it, but I was only there on Saturdays, the busiest day of the year. My wife was sitting there with my kids and this thing, trying to educate people about what we're doing, giving away samples and whatnot. But I was like, maybe there's a better way, and vending machines came out of that. I think Dawn was right there when I probably like the week that I came up with my mind.
Yep.
Let's hear about bagels.
Let's hear.
Well, I don't have a lot of inventions.
Oh, you do.
But I think the way I started my business is the way I think a lot of people who have a small idea that grows into something bigger. And I think that the kind of iterative process of like starting to bake bagels in my kitchen and making a dozen and a half and thinking that was like a huge amount of bagels to make. And now we make, hundreds and hundreds on a Saturday. So that process of kind of learning those systems, I think was really key. And I think starting small allowed me to, if I jumped into this food business, the only food experience I had was working at dining services at Berea College when I was, had a labor position. So I had no food restaurant experience. If I had started out getting a $500,000 loan or whatever, and buying a building and getting started, like it would have been horrible.
The mistakes would have been.
Yeah.
And
I think
right at the beginning, it could have eaten you up.
The whole, Jack White has an essay about limitations and the power of limitations for creativity. And I think that really can be true too for business. And I think it's really easy for me to say, oh, I wish my line of credit was bigger or whatever. I wish my this and that. But I think that if you can stay engaged and not burn out, which you have to have the capacity and bandwidth to continue to be creative, you can find solutions that are not super expensive or that are more clever and stuff. So I think that that's been a real learning experience for me. And I think one of the things that's challenging, similar to what you're saying, is that it's hard enough to have a business. It's hard enough to have a food business, but like I was determined to have one with values. I want to be a really good employer. I want to source carefully, that kind of thing. And so solving those problems, I think, is the real way that I use my creativity right now. I've really stepped back from the day-to-day operations. My husband got a promotion. He's GM now at the restaurant.
Oh, cool.
He's always worked at the shop, but now I'm not as controlling as I have been about all of the things that happen. So since I started this job with the SBDC, I'm doing this because I had been doing some consulting with Mountain Association, which is, if anybody is looking for funding, it's a CDFI, a nonprofit lender that is their whole mission is to provide business loans to people who are just getting started in their business or might not have the best credit score, that kind of thing. So they were the first commercial loan that I got. And as a part of that, they also offer free technical assistance. Like, it's a really great organization. Anyway, their office is right across the street from my restaurant. So I started doing some consulting with them, with people who were starting food businesses. And then it grew naturally into this work with the SBDC and doing business coaching. And I think that it's so energizing for me, because like your story of like this problem that you're trying to solve, it's so fun to think about, and every entrepreneur has those kinds of stories.
The journey.
Yes. And it's
And support
yeah,
matters.
yeah. And so
Connections matter.
yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And I will say, like, one of the things that I'm thinking about outside of my day job with the SBDC is that I really see, as a restaurant owner trying to start a food business, I had to build a commercial kitchen in my garage because there were no spaces to do that in our community. And that, speaking of, like, we're talking about farmers trying to do direct sales and make money and not burn out and still be able to be farmers. I think there's similar problems in the food space. People want to start food incubators or food hubs or that kind of thing, and they're not feasible in most cases. Like, so many food hubs, even in large cities, and food incubators are struggling financially.
I'll go one step with you. Check this out. You're exactly right. Everybody wants to sell local, but it's just about darn near impossible, because the commitment it takes to sell local, the suppliers are just not there that can continuously do.
That's true. That is true.
So you start off with the best intentions of doing locally sourced beef in your restaurant. I'm only going to sell locally sourced beef, but will there be that consistency? Will that be that provider? You know what I'm saying? That consistency.
Well, and I think going back to pain in the ass factor too, you have to think for the restaurant, it's just like grocery shopping. That's what I was going to bring up when you were talking about the vending machines. For my family, if I'm trying to source my ingredients carefully, I have to go to the Berea College Farm store. I have to go to Happy Meadow, the natural food store. I have to go to the farmer's market. I have to go to the other farmer's market. And I think the same is true for restaurants that are trying to source carefully. You don't just order everything from Cisco. The only thing I buy from them right now is, oil for my fryer. So you have to piece it together and work with all these different vendors. And that also is
labor of love.
And you have to come up with, instead of just one system, you come up with 6 systems. Anyway, but so the problem I'm kind of trying to solve right now is it possible for there to be a shared commercial kitchen space that can be self-supporting? And so that is, I mentioned the Appalachian Regional Business.
The Julieta's doing it.
You know about that? The Appalachian Regional. So it's a collective of nonprofits in Appalachia, not just Kentucky, and they got $15 million from the USDA, and they're doing 5 grant cycles. I'm saying this all so that other people know about it and can apply. They're doing 5 grant cycles of $5 million each, and you can get up to $100,000. And it's not just restaurants that are eligible; food businesses can apply, which is very rare. Usually, funding from grant funding is not, restaurants can't apply, except for like during COVID, So I applied for a $25,000 planning grant, which we'll find out at the end of this month if we got it, essentially to do a feasibility study to see if we can design a shared commercial kitchen space that my restaurant can use to scale, and we can start doing catering, but also that we can kind of host micro entrepreneurs. And I'm very curious. I'm really trying to approach it with an attitude of curiosity and not like, well, this is not going to work, because some awesome commercial kitchens in large cities are having trouble. So my lead baker right now, she is coming to me from Grow Appalachia, which is a nonprofit that's kind of housed at Berea College. And she has a real passion for food justice and food insecurity in her area. And so obviously I share similar values, but she's also an expert grant writer. So we've been able to kind of pursue this project. And then if it is feasible, then we'll apply for the next round of funding to try to get some equipment, I think. So that's not really an invention, but that's something like ecosystem and system-wide that I think is a problem and is a real barrier to food entrepreneurs. And a lot, especially too, because incubator kitchen spaces like the ones I'm aware of, a farmer or even a gardener, a market gardener who has 200 pounds of peaches and needs to make 1 batch of jam, it's not worth it for them to pay $65 an hour to rent a kitchen and make 3 cases of jam.
Right.
But then also, how can the facility keep their lights on, and pay their overhead and that kind of thing. So I'm really curious if it can be done. So
It's
Everybody's
tough.
gotta win.
yeah,
Everybody-
it is tough.
They're doing it right over the Juliet, and I could
Yeah.
just tell it was tough.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah,
And they had plenty of grant money to
yes.
start with that.
I mean, there are cautionary tales everywhere you look with that kind of
Right.
thing,
Well, and maybe you can learn from the ones that
Right.
did, what was the biggest pain point
Yeah.
that this one that wasn't doing well.
I mean, yeah, I
And-
definitely,
Yeah.
And that circles back to where I consider you an inventor.
That's right.
Because I've got and I always use this one gal as Leo knows where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
As an example, we've got a lady in Louisville we work with that is a children's book author. And she is just as much an inventor to us as the guy in the garage
yeah,
building the gadget.
yeah, I
If
hear
you're
that.
going where nobody else is
Yeah,
before,
that's
whether
fair.
you're writing
Exactly
something
right.
down or
Yeah,
not to
And
go
that's-
trekkie on
and
you.
that's where, boldly go where no
That's
one's.
right. And no,
gone
whether
before.
it's with words or if it's with
mhm,
a journey that you're going on,
Mhm.
trying to get, do something that's
mhm.
you're an inventor in my mind.
Okay. We've got to do that. Something with that. Go where boldly
Yeah.
go where no inventor has
Yeah.
gone before.
Yeah,
Yeah, that circles back to.
Sounds like an Inventor's Day card.
That's an
Yeah.
Inventor's Day card right there.
Wow.
See, now we've done it.
Wow.
We got
call back.
the-
Wow.
Perfect. All right. Well, guys, we really appreciate you sharing your stories and just going where no one has gone before.
Oh, wow.
And doing what you've done. So we really appreciate that. We want to celebrate what you're doing. And
Thank you.
everybody out in Zoom land, give them a big hand.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, let's see. Do we have any questions? Anything to wrap up, Leo, in the chat?
Anybody, if you guys have a question for anybody, Paul, go for it.
Yeah, I was wondering because you were talking about how time was an invention, and I had an idea to have like a new time zone.
Okay.
Could you monetize a new time zone? Like, I know you can't sell it or anything like that, but I was wondering whether you'd be able to license it to Zoom or something.
Don't think so. I mean, you could propose because I know that part of Australia has like that 30-minute one. I think that's Adelaide. But other than that, I don't know about monetization. I mean, anybody?
No.
Yeah, I can't
No,
think of
no.
one personally.
You've got me on that one, Paul.
Because I
don't
think
know.
time zones were kind of really it was the British Empire who were just like Greenwich is the center of the world. Everybody is gonna do what we say. So yeah.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
absolutely.
Oh, well, I'll throw it out there then. But my idea is that, when you've got on your clock on your Apple phone and it's got like time in Sydney, time in New York, blah, blah, blah. When it came to all the Zoom meetings, there was a time and a date that was specific and you could have that next to it. So instead of saying, hey, we're having a meeting at this time, it's we're having a meeting at this time in this time zone. So it's not East Coast America or West Coast America or anything like that. It's just
That
this
I
time
can-
here.
That I can see.
Hmm.
I don't know if I would pitch it to Zoom straight away though. I think you could actually be better off. It's funny that Slack came up. Some kind of app where people are collaborating
Mhm.
across multiple time zones, like some kind of universal timekeeping process for that, and then see where it goes from there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I could have legs. Cool. Anything else, Leo?
Can we be on daylight savings time in that?
Oh yeah, we need to do that
For
at some
that,
point,
yeah.
Done with that.
I hate to get rid of that.
Anybody got any other questions? 3, 2, 1. All right, thank
One,
you.
go
Thanks so
twice.
much, you guys. This was
All right.
fantastic.
Thank you.
This was really great. Thanks, everybody, for being. Watch for news announcements, things coming up. Our next open meeting is going to be Tuesday, March the 4th. You definitely want to stay tuned for that. If you want to become a member, if you already are a member, you want to join us for our Inventor Entrepreneur Workshop, which is next week on Tuesday. And then our next Inventor Friday is going to be March 14th. Pi Day. Wonder what we'll be doing then. We'll find out. So thank you all again. Everybody have a great night. Thanks for spending your Friday evening with us. And we hope to see you all again really